I really want to thank the former governor and the current governor of Turkana for availing the land. And we have another 3 bases in Turkana. Turkana is vast. And we are shifting, we have learned from the cattle rustling and banditry in North Rift that Tiati and Baringoi and West Pokot and Turkana, we have enough land for even training. So we might even shift both the Kenya Defense Forces and even the police. We might shift our training bases closer to those terrain. I think they're good for training. I am sure, Madam Speaker, Lamu is now under operations. And I don't want to speak about Lamu in the plenary. If the Committee of Defense can invite me in camera, because Lamu now is under operations. So, and this question was, I was not ready for Lamu. But anyway, even I told the chair of National Assembly Committee, if I want to speak about Lamu and our war with Al-Shabaab, I'll do it in camera.
Thank you. CS. Senator Abdul Haji.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before going straight to the question, I would like first of all to commend and congratulate the Cabinet Secretary of Defense for good work that he's done since his appointment. And I'm not only saying this because he comes from Garissa County and I happen to be senator, but it is very obvious that he's been doing a good job at the ministry, a very sensitive ministry at that. I also want to appreciate the answer that he has given the House, a very detailed answer. And I think, Honorable Madam Speaker, any officer who dies in the line of duty is one too many. And we have to, as a country, appreciate that the work they do is the ultimate sacrifice. If an officer dies in the line of duty, that is the ultimate sacrifice that they can give in fighting for this country. And they are our unsung heroes. And the ones that we have lost, may God rest their soul in peace. Madam Speaker, the Kenyan Army has been in Somalia for 5 years. And as the Cabinet Secretary has explained, that as they are at their second phase of withdrawing from Somalia, the federal government of Somalia has actually requested that they extend their time. So my question is to the Cabinet Secretary, in the period of the 5 years that the Kenyan Defense Forces has been in Somalia, have they undertaken any social development programs, programs within the military-civil engagement that has helped them to win the minds and hearts of the community in Somalia in the areas that they are serving? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also want to confirm that I have one of the best senators. He is my senator, and myself and the people of Garissa have full confidence in Senator, who he replaced our father and our elder, who also sat in this house. May Allah take him to Jannah. Madam Speaker, yes, Senator Abdul has asked a very fundamental question. We do it both in our country and we do it outside. If you go to our area and thank Parliament, Parliament always allocates a certain resource to Kenya Defense Forces for their civic duty. So we are involved in construction of dams, building of boreholes, providing medical camps, and wherever our bases are, during drought, they give a lot of water. Senator will agree with me, particularly in the parts in Garissa where there was drought and where our bases are, the same in other parts of the Asal region. So, and then we have an element we call key leadership engagement. The senator and deputy majority leader in the Senate, Senator for Samburu, will agree with me. Even where we go and bring peace and security, we still have key leadership engagement. In Somalia, Madam Speaker, one of our operating base in a place called Ndwale, and you can look at either ATMIS Twitter handle or KDF, you will find in our biggest hospital, we provide maternal health care, we provide surgery, and even this week, if you go look at that Twitter, you'll find a lady who was now being discharged on a wheelchair who was in our hospital for about 3 months in Ndwale. So that is a kind of thing we do. We provide water, we provide health facilities. And I remember, Madam Speaker, I visited one of our forward operating bases in Wajir with members of parliament in our sensitization campaign to the community to help us in the war against Al-Shabaab and against terror. And the elders told us, and the base commander told us, to be more specific, that, you know, all our forces there are adult, and mainly they are men. So they said when the communities come to them with the pediatric cases of children who are sick or mothers who are pregnant, they don't have the drug. So we made a deliberate decision, policy now at Kenya Defense Forces, that wherever we have our doctors and our nurses in the most remote parts of the country and inside Somalia, we must make sure we provide all types of drugs, so that if we get a lactating mother, a pregnant lady, a lady who has complications in delivery, the drugs are available. So that is our duty. And everywhere we do, we don't only use kinetic force. We want to blend it with development, socio-economic development programs, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, CS. Senator Danson Mungatana.
Madam Speaker, every time I attend a funeral of one member of the Defense Forces in Tana River, there are very elaborate ceremonies that follow, and we thank the Ministry of Defense for what they do, because it is a reflection of the discipline and the arrangements that are there. The question I have for the Minister is, can he disclose the amount that they give to each member of the family? At least that one is not a matter of national importance or secret. He should tell us, apart from the flag, the salutes, the nice songs they sing, and all the ceremonies, what does the widow get? At least a figure. What does the widow get on that particular date? I know, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, that the armed forces regulations on gratuities, they have a calculations they make for personnel and officers. So when they give the death gratuities after calculation, so that may be something they do maybe over a period of time, which the minister should tell us. But when they come to bury, what do they give? That's the thing that we want to know. Because it's very sad, but we are always mesmerized by the ceremonies. And actually, at least in Tana River, so many of us go to see what is happening there because of what they do. But do they give, and we want to know from the minister, the figure, so that Kenyans can know when your son or your husband or your daughter has gone on the date of the burial, something, and this is the amount that is given apart from the death gratuity. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Madam Speaker, this is not nothing to hide, so I'll just say what we give immediately within 30 days, for shorter than 30 days. If the officer is serving within our country, immediately he gets 4 million shillings. Above his pension, which is, has a component called death gratuity. But if he's serving in ATMIS, like in Somalia, apart from the 4 million, the AU and the UN give that family 50,000 USD. And Honorable Senator, if there is anybody who you feel from Tana River County who did not receive this, I am ready and willing to engage you at the defense headquarters. But there is a problem. The problem is where families don't agree. And Madam Speaker, on a light touch, even in my life in Parliament here, there are colleagues of mine and Honorable Boni Khalwale and Honorable Mugatana, we served with them in the 10th Parliament, who died, and up to today, they cannot get their gratuity because of family disputes and courts, and people went. So just like here, even in defense, we get a few cases where because of the family dispute, the money becomes not accessible. But 4 million is within the first 3 weeks. If he's serving under ATMIS, Honorable Boni Khalwale, my Honorable Speaker, I want to urge him on a light note that by the time you go to heaven, don't leave us with a lot of problems. Make some good disclosure. We can work on, Madam Speaker. But we pay 4 million for within our country. But if outside our country, like ATMIS in Somalia, we pay 4 million, plus the AU and the UN pays 50,000 US dollars. And I agree with you. We give decent, respectable burials, particularly for KDF officers.
Thank you, Honorable CS. On the issue of family disputes, it appears like Senator Boni Khalwale has some leads towards those disputes. Though tempted, let me allow Senator Julius Mulgo to present the question. Otherwise, you'd have answered to that.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I'm glad I'm not like Khalwale, who has more than 3. I have only 1, and there's no dispute that will be there.
You have only 1 what?
Honorable CS, I'm very thankful for the elaborate explanations that you gave, and I agree with you totally. Because if we should defend this country effectively, we must engage the enemy from far, not allowing, even if you see how cheetah fights her enemies or his enemies, they lead the attacking enemy away from the cubs. They don't allow them to come near. So in defense of our country, we should engage the enemy from far. I have a question, however, from some of the visits you have made. You have assured the nation and the defense department that we will buy equipments that will detect the bombs and whatever these guys bury in the ground, so that as our military operatives move around and operate, they will be safer than it is now. Because you have done an effective work in keeping them away, but when it comes to these bombs and so on, they seem to still take the day. So how is that going to be? Or because I seem to, I'm not a prophet, but we will be with these people along the border even after we move back from Somalia. We will still engage them at the border, because these are evil-driven people, and they are connected with maybe the others in the world, the people that are terrorists. So we will still be with them. So how can you give us an assurance on that? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Senator, for West Pokot. I totally agree with you. And I want to inform the House that we have completely, destroyed the capability and the infrastructure of Al-Shabaab. Their only weapon of choice is the IEDs, and you have rightly said. And that's why you see in Lamu, in parts of northern Kenya. They come in, they walk in 2-3, put an IED, targeting our security forces, and sometimes our citizens suffer. I want to assure this House and the country that under the leadership of the President and our Commander-in-Chief, we have, both us and Interior, Minister of Interior, the National Police Service, we have heavily invested through the support of the budget from Parliament in buying armored vehicle APCs that will protect our troops from the IEDs, and to make sure that using our intelligence, using other technology, we can easily find IEDs. In fact, now we can tell that there's an IED which has been planted on that road, particularly in the Lamu enclaves, and then we tell our officers, number one, not to move in vehicle, number two, to go and detonate that IED. But by December, January, under the support of the Commander-in-Chief and this administration, we are investing heavily both in interior and defense to make sure that we have the right equipment and the right arms for our security forces, both inside and outside Somalia. Two things I want to assure this House, myself and Professor Kindiki. The North Rift and all other criminals and banditry, this is the government that will deal with. And yesterday the Cabinet has approved the shared national security strategy for North Rift, where now, apart from fighting the criminals, we want to invest in the socio-economic development of those regions. We want to build schools, we want to open up those areas, we want to build dams, we want to build security sector under the implementation of the National Security Council. So, and we will be there for the long haul. The problem with the successive government was that they were going there for 2 months. Leaders called the president, former president, they say, come out. No leader will ever call the Commander-in-Chief until, and now I'm sure the leaders are also very happy, about 85% of the North Rift now is pacified. We have only about 15%. Now we want to remove the kinetic operation and deal with socio-economic development of our people. They must be part and parcel of the Kenyan agenda. So we are investing heavily in the modernization of our security forces, from intelligence to the police, to the other special groups, and to the Kenya Defense Forces.
Thank you, CS. Honorable Jackson Madego, Senator Jackson Madego.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, first let me take this opportunity to thank the CS for appearing before this committee. I had comments in regard to CS Namwamba following the comments of Senator for Bungoma. But since Chair you ruled, let me not speak to us. I would like to ask the CS for defense. In your response, CS, under counseling and psychological support, your response number 2, that one of you have centers that are tasked with developing psychological support programs for current and retired service personnel, their families, and families of deceased service personnel. Honorable CS, I would like to ask you, your officers that we lost in 2016, whether the people responsible have really visited to offer any support since then. I'll give you a case of Corporal Leonard Tata Damien, service number 73046, who was part of the officers that we lost in Somalia. The widow happens to be from my county. From 2016, she has not received a phone call, an SMS, or a visit. So I would like to know whether the person who is in charge is not sleeping on the job, or whether they are telling the CS they have visited and they have not visited. And for your information, CS, my county buried not less than 15 officers during that period of time. I've only given an example because I was able to get in touch of that. And as that is checked, CS, together with that, what happened with the boundary wall? Was it a wall or a drench at the boundary of Somalia? Is it complete? And how much did it cost?
Senator Madago, how many questions are you asking?
It's one question, but it looks like it has appendages.
Disaggregated into 6 different issues. Senator CS.
Madam Speaker, let me start with the last one. I think, Senator, you need to file a question to ask about the boundary wall. That boundary wall was not a boundary wall. It was a conduit for stealing public resources. And you cannot build 700 border with a wall. It can 700 kilometer border. So they did about 10, but that is one of the ills of the previous administration. So you have the oversight role, so you will ask, please. And you can call those who they're still around, some of them. Ask them about the wall. But when I start building a wall, I'm ready to answer. Secondly, about, we are very sorry, and I really want to ask that not only in Somalia, since independence, and you'll find their names in a memorial park in all our camps, there are many men and women in uniform who sacrificed their life for for national security interests. But this particular officer, we condole with the family, and please, I want you to give me. You know, sometimes I have seen, I was asked a question on a pension claim by an officer, by the National Assembly, and when I came to answer and I gave all the evidence, the member realized that this member was cheating him, and he got his pension. So give us the name so that I can check with the head of our medical team and the other welfare team whether they have visited. If they have not visited, I will assure you in the next 2 weeks they will visit, and I'm very sorry if that was not done, but I want to check. So before I leave, maybe I'll get the name of the widow. I think we have a very robust, not only for the widows, even for our veterans who retired. We have a veterans which the houses of parliament have passed.
Thank you, CS. Senator Lelegwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me join my colleagues to appreciate the presence and the response by the Cabinet Secretary. Madam Speaker, based on the response by the Cabinet Secretary, he has highlighted the high demand for the KDF in protecting our territorial integrity. Madam Speaker, I'll proceed to ask a supplementary question that is connected to the substantive question as asked by Senator Chute. Mr. CS, what is the reasoning behind the deploying of KDF to address the current insecurity within our borders, particularly the cattle rustling menace in our country, despite the reported lack of success in their efforts? Shouldn't there be a priority to focus to prioritize the focus on protecting our nation's integrity in Somalia, a service that is urgently needed in our nation, than engaging within our borders for a business that can be dealt with other agencies of security in our country? Thank you.
CS.
Madam Speaker, I thought the good senator of Samburu will thank Kenya Defense Forces for bringing stability to the 6 counties of the North Rift, including Samburu. But having said that, we are in Samburu and North Rift, courtesy of a provision of law. And if you look at Article 241, sub-article 3C, it says the Kenya Defense Forces may be deployed to restore peace in any part of Kenya affected by unrest or instability only with the approval of the National Assembly. That's one, which we are coming to it. But if you look at B, shall assist and cooperate, that is 3B, shall assist and cooperate with other authorities in situations of emergency or disaster and report to National Assembly whenever deployed in such a situation. Currently, we are in this North Rift region, courtesy of Article 241 3B. If the situation requires and that we need now to go ourselves, then we'll come back to the National Assembly using 3B. But why are we in that area? You know that area, and I'm sure the senator, my great senator, comes from there. This was an area which was experienced cattle rustling and banditry since immemorial in President Kenyatta's government, President Moi's government, President Kibaki, and President Uhuru. And I think the time has come that we must allow the citizens of that region to be part and parcel of the Kenyan development agenda. Their children must go to school, their women must do business in all the trading centers, roads must be passable, criminals must be dealt with, and above all, those 4 counties must benefit from the budget and the national development of this country. And today I'm very happy to report that we have dealt with, we have silenced the guns, we are helping communities, and yesterday, under the direction of the President and the Commander-in-Chief, we have approved the CAB memo that myself and Professor Kindiki has initiated and which was passed by the National Security Council before coming to Cabinet, to make sure that now as we dealt with the kinetic forces, now we bring socio-economic development. The people of those counties must get education, boarding schools, where all communities' children can go, build more dams,